half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't. And where do they
why
end
do
up?
Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in check cashing places.
But I want to know why those groups. Why those two groups don't have access?
Well, a lot of it just happens to be that we can talk about.
Flawed?
This. No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay,
not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
Oh,
but
so that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but I'm
why did you
giving
bring up black and Hispanic?
Because
Oh my God. This is just another example. What we're getting ready to see is just another example of why people are preferring a guy like Trump. Matter of fact, like may not even be the word, but why people are somewhat being attracted to, because you don't necessarily have to like something. I guess like is an attraction, but some things you ever realize, like some things you could just be attracted, like something's just drawing you in. You may not even like it, or you don't like the fact that you like it, but something about it is drawing you in. So this conversation that we're getting ready to see, to me, highlights the problem with all this thing, with everything that Charlemagne was talking about when it came to the political correctness, or when he was calling out Donald Trump, saying that, or he was calling out the Democrats, saying that Donald Trump has shown him that you can get stuff done. You don't have to be all the politically correctness and think that that's how you get stuff done. Donald Trump gets stuff done. He says stuff, whether it makes sense or not to everybody, or to him, whatever. Clearly it makes sense to him, I guess. But he gets stuff done. Listen to this conversation. Listen to this conversation. Very interesting.
Yeah, in San Francisco.
And hold up, first and foremost, we got to stop the show. We got Uncle Brother Morton, 25 in DC. And Uncle Brother, I saw your messages. Sometimes I'm on the weekend. I'm not on Instagram as much, but I saw that you sent me something, so I'll check that out today. But 25 in DC? Damn, DC getting hit harder than Jersey. All right. Oh, wow. She must be the hurt one. That's wildly aggressive of her to say, LOL. Yeah, Kiki, it's wild. It's wild. Get over it. Yeah, get the... Yeah, keep that same energy you had in high school, sweetheart. When I walked up to you as the nerd, you know what I'm saying? Keep that same energy. Nerd gang, man. All right.
The Chinese Exclusion Act came out.
So are they the check cash? Are they the check?
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't. And where do they
why
end
do
up?
Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in check cashing places.
But I want to know why those groups. Why those two groups don't have access?
Well, a lot of it just happens to be that we can
so
talk
they're
about.
Flawed?
No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay,
not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
Oh,
but
so that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
why did you bring up black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be the magnitude.
That's the way God planned it?
Not at all.
Well, what happened to them?
There are a lot of issues, and that the communities are struggling. A lot
why
of new
are they
immigrants.
Struggling?
A lot of different reasons. Lack of
Hispanics
opportunity.
Have been here. Blacks have been here longer than we've been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What about Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah, in fact, it all initiated at San Francisco. And the Chinese Exclusion Act came out.
So are they the check cash? Are they the check cash?
A lot of Asians certainly do.
Oh, so why don't you conclude them?
The only reason why is the magnitude.
There's
the problem,
so many more.
The magnitude in percentage.
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about it. You know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure, why would you?
No, here's why.
Why would you want to do that? Because the person from the Times wouldn't write good things about you if you did that.
No, that's not the case, because I want to deal with reality. No.
You want to deal with reality.
I want to deal with the reality of people that are struggling, people are suffering. I want to deal with the problems in a pragmatic way. Why are they
struggling and suffering?
I don't want an idea. We can hold hands and surmise about all these underlying reasons.
I don't want to do that. I want to know why they're struggling. Why are they struggling?
A lot of folks are struggling because they can't find jobs.
Why blacks and
because they're working.
Why blacks and Hispanics?
Across the board, all socioeconomic.
Okay, so
everybody's struggling.
So Asians are suffering just as much as blacks.
The face of welfare is not an African American family.
It's Asian, Jewish, it's all of them.
Caucasian. It's
a
lot of
so
folks
we're all
in society.
struggling.
A lot of folks are struggling.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on here? And I let it play for the entirety because, normally I'm cutting it up and I think it's unfair when I'm not playing the full video for y'all to digest and then I'm asking y'all to comment on it. So I wanted y'all to hear it in its entirety. What do y'all think about that? What do you think? A lot of people, are you thinking that the person that's doing the interview, are they rude? Are they being a little bit too direct? In my opinion, they're not being rude at all. Matter of fact, I like these type of direct questions being asked to politicians because what you see is Gavin Newsom trying to squirm out of a situation. He's used to being able to just say certain things and then people not challenging those thoughts, not challenging, well, what's the root of the problem? He's getting asked, the first thing that he wants to say, because the popular thing to say is that blacks and Hispanics don't get opportunities. And they're asking why. What is the problem? Why do we need to help them out? What is the issue? Is this something genetically? So as we're going to listen to it one more time, and I want y'all to tell me y'all thoughts as we're listening to it, because I may be off in my perception of it. But to me, this is exactly how if you can't tell me what's the root of the problem, then how can you properly bring about a solution? If you feel so uncomfortable just being real and saying certain things, because if a Donald Trump was having this conversation, Donald Trump would be saying something like he would say, because the blacks are because the Hispanic, and people would say, what does he mean the blacks? What does he mean the Hispanics? But he would say exactly how he feels, in my opinion. And let's not even make it about Donald Trump. Let's just keep it on Gavin Newsom, because to me, this is the energy that a lot of Democrats and liberals have stood on for a very long time, where they like to throw out all these different problems to make blacks and Hispanics feel like victims, but then they never actually bring about solutions that are going to change the problem. They just want us to be angry and blame the other side for the problem being there and nobody being willing to address it. So let's listen to it one more time. I think it's just a very telling conversation. Hold on.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't. Where do they
why
end
do
up?
Armenians have them?
But where they end up is in check cashing places.
But I want to know why those groups. Why those two groups don't have access?
Well, a lot of. Just happens to be that. We can
so
talk
they're
about
flawed?
This. No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically
Folks are making
flawed.
Their word. Hardly, not absolutely.
But okay,
not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have. A lot of whites have these problems.
Oh,
but
so that's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
why did you bring up black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
This is what I mean. Just answer the question. Just answer the question. You're talking about black people and Hispanics not having access to checking accounts. You're going down all these different paths, in my opinion. To me, this is what I hear with a lot of liberal talking points. And maybe I may be connecting some dots that aren't all the way there, but this is what I hear when I hear this. Now, this was filmed in 2013. This is the same slick talking. Now, fast forward to Gavin Newsom when he's talking about the fires. Well, we just the water system, we don't have a water problem, but it's not the water, it's the wind. It's some of the fire hydrants. Why don't the fire hydrants have water? Well, that's something that we need to really find an answer to. You're the governor, Gavin Newsom. What exactly do you recommend as a solution? What do you think? Like, it's like you're sitting here and you want to throw out these blanket statements that align with your political agenda, that align with your political party, that align with making certain groups feel that you understand why they're victims, but you never want to actually call out the actual problems. Democrats never want to. This is why they call Candace Owens a racist. This is why people will hate Jason Whitlock, because certain people will just call it as it is. Black people ain't doing this. Black people need to do better at this. Black people need to work on having fathers in the household. Black people, the Democrats are never about that. The Democrats are always like, well, blacks had to go through slavery, so therefore they may not be able to get ID to vote. And then when you ask black people, because we've seen a lot of these different interviews that people have put up where they'll ask a white person and it says like about voter ID. And it's like, do you think that it's fair for black people to have to, can we expect black people to be able to have IDs in order to vote? And you'll see a lot of white people saying, well, you know, they don't have the resources. They don't have this. They don't have, and the black people are like, what are you talking about? Like, I have IDs. I know exactly where the DMV is to get an ID. But this is, and I don't blame the white people in those videos. I blame this type of message that's being pushed. This type of message. So, Mama Lay in the building. Shout out to Mama Lay. We're gonna hit 40 degrees today. I appreciate you letting me know that I'm not still muted. Same incompetence happened in Maui. This is when, and Ursi, I'm glad that you wrote that because see, incompetence occurs in a lot of different ways, obviously, right? But one of the areas, in my opinion, that incompetence occurs is when you are so infatuated and you fall in love with the emotions of politicians. You fall in love with them saying nice things rather than them actually doing the things necessary in order to take care of your community. We like what Barack says. We like Barack makes us feel good. Barack and Michelle, I like the way that they dress. No, we need somebody. I don't care if you think Donald Trump's an asshole. What? Like, what are we talking about? How many people in this chat and how many people do we run into where the people that they work for, your boss is an asshole, your manager is an asshole, the CEO of your company is an asshole, and you give them 40 hours a week and trust your asshole CEO for you to be able to put food on your table. You trust them. You trust giving them 40 hours a week at a minimum in order for you to put food, for them to give you a check to put food on your table. So you're perfectly fine with trusting your livelihood on the CEO that you work for every day. But you're telling me that you have an issue with the number one thing that you have an issue with Donald Trump. He's mean. I just don't like his demeanor. Well, Gavin Newsom's not mean. Gavin Newsom's very nice. He says everything that black people want to be told. He makes us feel very comfortable, good about life, never places blame on us. And look at the results. This is what happens when you prioritize emotions over logic, when you prioritize feelings over results. This is what happens. Is anybody surprised? Isn't this the same thing that Donald Trump was talking about for years? The water issues that California has? And now look what we're looking at. Now, you could say it's for whatever reason, to save some fish, an endangered population of fish, whatever. It doesn't even matter. The fact is there's no water in the fire hydrants. Like, I don't care what the reason is. You got the fire chief calling out the mayor, everybody else calling out Governor Newsom. Like, we don't even know who to blame. We don't know who to blame. This is what happens when you start prioritizing. Maybe this is why people are complaining about all this DEI stuff. This is why people are complaining about all the DEI stuff. Because when we turn on the TV and you see the fire chief's a woman that's LGBTQ, and it looks like they're just trying to, the mayor, Karen Bass, is a woman, she's black. It looks like, when did this switch just happen? So it looks like y'all are doing so much to push narratives and to push storylines, to push talking points that align with your agenda and empower women and empower the LGBTQ community. And it seems like we've dropped the ball on actually putting people in positions that can actually protect our community and make sure that we're good to respond to situations no matter what they may be. And matter of fact, while we're on this subject, give me a second, because I want to pivot away for a second.
It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon.